Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pitlane Formula One podcast. I'm your host, Sander Brew. Not joined by Jacob for the time being. He's being a wimp and is at work. But we have Melia Swan back. Hello, Amelia.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
I am sad because we didn't get to see much of a race at Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
2 invigorating laps behind the safety car. But it did see Max Verstappen pick up the win. On the bright side, though, George Russell got his first podium. He didn't need a Mercedes. All he needed was a Williams. And Lewis Hamilton finished the race in P3. So I'm just going to ask, thoughts on the race?
Well, one of the best races this year, I reckon. Mm-hmm. So exciting, so much racing action, so much overtaking. Yeah, I conflicted. On the one hand, like, obviously it was not safe to race at that time. And you know, George getting P2, but also, like, do they deserve the points?
Yeah. It's just, I mean, they got given half the points.
Yeah.
But even then, they didn't even do half a race. It was, I'm not going to try and work out the maths, but it wasn't even a tenth of a race. It was yeah.
It was just like, we have to do 2 laps of racing, but it's like, it's not racing if it's behind the safety car.
No.
To even classify the race. So.
Yeah. But what we did get in terms of a bad Sunday, we did get a good Saturday. Would you put it down to? Yeah, we had a good Saturday of qualifying.
Mr. Saturday rained. Oh, not rained. Rained us in the good way.
Yeah. So we did see Verstappen take pole on the Saturday, but for about 22 seconds, I thought the impossible was about to happen. On George Russell's lap, we started seeing purple sectors.
Like purple first sector.
Yeah.
All right. Purple second sector.
Yeah. I just hear Brundle say, George has just set the quickest middle sector. And I just thought, no, this is not going to happen. It happened for about 8 seconds. Then Max took it away from us. But however, that's got to be, I think a big prediction here, or a big statement. I might say that is probably the best qualifying lap in my 5 years of watching Formula One. That's the best qualifying lap I've ever seen. I think
especially with the conditions, with how he managed to do that with that car.
Yeah.
Like, you could just, like, it just shows the amount of skill and talent he has, because, like, how did he outperform both Mercedes and one Red Bull?
Yeah, both Mercedes.
Like,
I mean, every car that is better than him, to be honest. I mean,
literally,
a McLaren, Red Bulls, Ferraris. It is going to happen, but even before this weekend, there was still like a doubt. Oh, will he get the seat or not? If he doesn't get it now, I feel like you just shouldn't try anything in life, because you're never going to get it, because that's just, it's just criminal that he hasn't been announced yet. So
my favorite thing, it will happen. My favorite thing is that it happened on Bottas's birthday. Like, happy birthday. He was like,
I didn't even realize that.
By both Mercs, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, George is definitely going in that Mercedes.
Yeah.
But happy birthday, Valtteri Bottas. I'm going to steal your seat.
Yeah. So that the front row, that's why I was so excited for Sunday, because I had a genuine belief of, I think George Russell was going to just send it. He was just going to send it. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see that. He sent it behind a safety car, but not in a real race. Lewis Hamilton picked up P3, had a really good first lap in Q3, and had a a poor lap second time round. Now you must be a good luck charm, because you did say Daniel Ricciardo was going to win. He didn't win, but he did get P4. I'll take that. That feels like a win. Daniel Ricciardo qualified in P4, having to do.
I mean,
no, I'll think. Yeah,
I was going to say. I mean, I did probably also say Lando was going to be good, and then Lando crashed. But yeah, like Danny in P4, like, because like I thought he was going to stay. I can't. Was he in like P9 before the last lap?
P9. He was behind. I think he was behind Ocon.
One of the only ones that kind of improved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously like everyone's like, oh no, stay there, but then he went to 4th, which is like great. And I think
he needed to do a big lap because Lando, unfortunately, for some weird reason, was allowed to do a lap when Lando himself said it. Sebastian Vettel, probably the most vocal out of everyone, saying just red flag it. Going into Eau Rouge, probably the trickiest corner and part, like in F1, in any track on the calendar.
Yeah,
where we've seen too many crashes. He loses the car, thankfully, in a weird way, crashes into the first wall, not the second.
Yeah,
spins
and
round.
The fact that he spun, like really decelerated it, so he didn't have the massive impact. But I hate to think what would have happened if he just hit it like head on or side on, and all like just the force, like
I mean that
like, and just I was watching it, and then you're like, oh, like Lando's gonna, because Lando's been really good at qualifying recently, and so it was like the overhead shot over the trees, and you see him go in, and then it's like it's been way too long, and then you see the like yellow flag sector 1, and it's like, what is going on? And I think obviously everyone, like, because of that corner, was like, what's going to be the outcome of this?
So that's where a lot of criticism has come to Michael Massey and the FIA. Why the hell? I mean, I think majority of the drivers were saying it's too wet. Regardless, still, qualifying continued, so they're going to have to put the lap times in. It was just frustrating to see. I mean, Lando was, I think, probably favourite for the front row. I think if Lando didn't crash,
he could have gotten pole.
Yeah, if Lando didn't crash, he would either be in Max's or George's position. So it's just, why are we risking, and especially of that corner? It was always going to be that corner. It's just a hot spot for crashes. Vettel very angry over the radio. It was a lovely touching.
Yes.
I love that. I was like, okay, the thumbs up. Thankfully he was okay. He had to go to the medical center for a scan on his elbow or his forearm.
He went to the hospital. So elbow and also ankle. Just an x-ray. But it's fine. It was just sore.
It's just, that's probably apart from the exhilarating race that we received, I think that was probably the main talking point as well from this weekend. I kind of wished they did red flag qualifying for about, I mean half an hour later the kind of track seemed to clear up, and then from full wets everyone went on to intermediates. George Russell just getting a hot blanket on his tyre so he could put in that lap.
But he was on used intermediates for that lap. Used.
And he still drives a Williams.
Yes.
He's still driving it. I mean, I would go down each driver and say what was good. I mean, Vettel P5. I love seeing Vettel doing well. I mean, he's just the most likable guy. Gasly doing well. Perez kind of done well, but then he crashed. And that was that was what I found quite amusing throughout the whole 3 hour long delay. The Red Bull mechanics trying desperately to get Perez back into the race, and they wouldn't allow Perez back in the race, which I was kind of upset about. But then I was like, to be fair, he has pulled out of the race. You can't really go back in, can you? But nevertheless, it didn't really mean anything in the end because the race never happened. Ocon, Leclerc. I mean, it was just a lot of. I mean, you can't really say what was. I mean, the only glaring thing about everyone below Perez is Bottas in 12th.
So I didn't hear a word you said for the past 30 seconds.
That's okay. No worries.
Anyway, you went across to us. You went. I was like,
it was a lot of waffle, to be honest. That'll be fun. I can edit that out. We'll get on to the birthday boy though. Valtteri Bottas, who qualified because he had a 5-place grid penalty. So he qualified. Where did he qualify? Yeah,
8th, 7th,
7th or 8th. Yeah, maths isn't my strong suit. Basic maths. So he was 12th. A poor qualifying for Valtteri Bottas. Yeah. Valtteri Bottas isn't doing himself any favors, and if now more than ever he needed a kick up the arse, it's probably starting from now. Even though I think the decision's been made, he might be able to redeem himself.
It's been made.
Okay, he's gone.
Toto was like, the decision's been made, just no one. It hasn't obviously been released to the public yet.
Imagine if he won 10 in a row. Imagine that.
Well,
he wins the championship.
No. Oh God.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Who else? I mean, it's kind of a standard qualifier. I mean, Giovinazzi, Tsunoda, Schumacher. Yeah. I mean,
Nicholas Latifi actually did quite well.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. He was P12, but managed to get to P10, didn't he? From everyone else's penalties.
Well, yeah, Lando and Bottas.
It's nice to see even though there's technically it's the second worst car on the grid. It's nice to see them battling out for. I mean, it's nice to see Latifi. Oh my God, I haven't let Jacob in. It's nice to see Latifi fighting for a Q3. Let me just get him in. Hello, mate. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I'm so sorry about that. How long have you been waiting?
Not long.
Okay, great. We were just going through. We were just going through the order of the exhilarating race we got treated to at the weekend. We were just talking about Latifi, how great it was to see him battling for it in contention for a Q3. That was a point. I thought you were going to lead into something there, but don't worry.
I've not got nothing. I didn't see quali. I didn't see quali. I missed this weekend, haven't I?
You pretty much missed the race.
I went to watch Chesterfield instead.
Oh, so okay then. Well, that's actually, you brought up a really good point when you messaged me the other day about what we could talk about. So I'd like to get both of your opinions on this. Okay. Have Bottas and Stroll unfairly got away with their grid penalties for causing a dangerous incident in Hungary because we technically didn't have a race? So did they get away with one this weekend?
I think there's two ways of looking at it. The first is that if you're going to dish out points, you've got to say that they've served their penalty, but it was sort of the perfect race to take penalties because how many points? The maximum points that Bottas has missed out on there is 12.5, and the amount of damage he's caused. You could argue he's done more damage than 12.5 points.
Wasn't it 6 million in damage as well? The actual cost of all the cars was 6 million for 12 points.
It's a tough one. I suppose it depends if you think that they should be giving out points for this race.
That's another talking point.
Because that's caused quite a stir, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, like you said, if you wanted to get a penalty and serve it, this was the qualifying session to do it, because it wasn't a race. That was the one to do it on. In terms of, I think it impacted Bottas more than it did Stroll, because at no point in qualifying did Stroll look like he was competing. To be fair, neither did Valtteri. I
just kind of forget Stroll exists.
Me and Jacob, I stupidly made him my teammate on the video game. By the way, I have to look at his face every time I load up a race.
Wait! Is this the career mode where you make your own team?
Yeah, he was.
So you had free reign of the entire grid.
He's 87 rated. He was cheap. Enough about that. If there was someone to impact, it would have been Bottas more than Stroll, because Stroll was poor from just the free practice and then into qualifying. So he would have finished. He technically qualified dead last. He was probably going to finish dead last.
I don't think that. This is why I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't get the race, because I think you couldn't really write anybody off. If we'd have got a race in the wet, because he's usually decent in the wet, Stroll, and he's usually better in the race than he is a qualifier. Like the points finishes he's managed to grab from poor qualities has been decent this season.
Yeah,
mostly on the strategy, but I don't think you really could have written anybody off if we'd have got the race, which, just such a shame.
I think Mazepin was on cue to win it just from that fastest lap. He was going to win it. He was going to catch Max. He was going to catch him. What more proof do you want? He was going to catch him. That was weird. If that day couldn't have got any weirder, it's just a run for, like, Daniel Ricciardo tried to start a Mexican wave. Vettel and Schumacher were playing football in the garage. Lando Norris fell asleep for 30 minutes. I saw a great when Lewis Hamilton was riding his scooter down the pit lane, and Angela was following him. Someone was like, Angela setting purple sectors, running after Lewis Hamilton. That's the race. That's the driver of the day for me, Angela. We can talk. When this probably does happen again, maybe not at Spa, maybe at another track. How do the FIA manage this situation better? How do they? Because I think Brundle was trying to suggest that we do a race on the Monday. It worked against the whole logistics side of everything, because we have to be in Zandvoort by Friday. So if it was like a 2-week gap in between the race, I think it would have been a good choice.
The problem you've got with doing it on the Monday, though, is that what do you call them? A lot of the people there are volunteers.
Yeah, the marshals. Yeah,
marshals are volunteers. So if they've got full-time jobs, they can't just be like, they can't just bin that off.
No, yeah. But if they love F1, they could,
Oh, I'm feeling really sick today.
Yeah. I've just done a lateral flow.
I caught pneumonia at Spa.
But it's
sorry,
after you. No.
My internet really bad, so I missed the whole kind of like part where you're talking about like all the weird stuff that they did during the red flag. But there's so many edits on Twitter, like and with like the Office theme and like the Friends theme.
Oh yeah,
it's so funny. Did you talk about the Red Bull engineer?
No, are they the? Who's the one? I think I know what happened.
He like the one that tripped over and was like,
oh yeah.
That was so funny. He starts going backwards and then he overcorrects and he's going forward.
I'm just remembering all the stuff now. They practiced a pit stop on the safety car.
Yeah, some of the marshals.
Yeah. Daniel Ricciardo choked out one of his engineers.
Oh yeah, Michael Italiano.
Yeah.
Was it? It was Michael. It was his performance coach.
I could have. That was more entertaining than Saturday. To be honest, it was actually not bad watching that.
So I've seen as something that the FIA could do going forward. I've seen people complaining that more points were handed out for the laps behind the safety cars than it would have if it was just a sprint race. So should they potentially hand out more points for a sprint race? Should there just generally be a couple of points here and there for qualifying? Or should there not be points for qualifying, and then in circumstances like this where just the race cannot go ahead, do they just say, look, we'll take the top 5 and we'll go 5 points for first, 4 for second, 3 for third, 2 for fourth, and 1 for fifth, and then just call it like that?
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It's so difficult because I didn't see the frustration that I have with the whole points that were given out is we didn't. I mean, they joked about it afterwards. I loved Lando going up to Max like, "Oh yeah, I nearly caught you." It's great to say. Some people were seeing the funny side of it. I kind of have to side with Lewis. Calling it it was a farce. It was really frustrating. Like, I don't know. I mean, that goes down. I love George Russell. I love him. I'm so glad he got a podium. When I look at that podium, I don't think he has a podium because he didn't race on the Sunday. If I was George Russell, I'd be like, yes, I got a podium. If I was him, I would be taking it. But it's just frustrating that. I mean, it's not. I don't see that as a Max Verstappen win.
Yeah.
I don't see that because Daniel Ricciardo was going to win. That's why I'm so frustrated. But I just don't see it as. You shouldn't have got point. If you're going to abandon the race, abandon everything about. Just abandon. Yeah, if you're going to abandon it, no points, and just it's kind of goes down as a okay. We forget this one and we move on to the next.
Kind of strange though, because I thought like in the moment I was just sort of like, come on, let's get it going. Let's see. And the moment that they sort of went back out again, I was like, okay, we're going to get it going. But then when it died down after and the excitement had gone and you could sort of view it with hindsight, it did sort of, because in the moment I thought, oh, they're getting them back out there because they want to get the race done today.
Yeah.
And then so you look at it with hindsight, you're like, oh, they really just sent them round behind the safety car just so that they could say, here's the points, you've done enough laps to get half points, and then we can pack it up and nobody has any more questions. Because it would have raised a lot of questions, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If they hadn't have done enough laps, that people would have been all week like, so are we going back to Spa? If we go back, does that qualifying count?
Yeah.
Do they have to do the full weekend again? Is it going off the calendar?
Mm-hmm. I mean, whilst we have, I mean, it doesn't really. This is probably we've lost.
We've lost Melia.
We've lost her.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I had to go on my computer kicked me off, so I had to go on my phone.
That's all right. We'll talk about. We're gonna have a general chit chat about dear old Kimmy. and then we'll start getting into fan theory mode.
My favorite thing about this whole announcement is that like it was kind of obvious it was meant to happen next week at Monza, but Kimi was just like, I'm just going to post it on Instagram, and something that has definitely not been like checked over by like PR because there's so many spelling mistakes.
Nice Kimi, right? If you read you just read it as Kimi as well.
Yeah. But it's obviously like sad that he's leaving because like he like doesn't have the most race starts out of like everyone ever. But like, you know, if he's not, you know, loving participating in the sport anymore, if it's a hobby that he's not interested in anymore, yeah. And obviously he can do so much stuff with like Formula One or other like motorsport outs when he retires, but it's gonna be sad to see him go.
Yeah, he does have he is a owner of Sauber, isn't he?
Some part of it.
I think if he goes behind the scenes, I reckon he might just take a break from the sport altogether, because when he talks about it, it sounds like he just hates Formula One.
Yeah, and he's got like 2 little kids, so he might want to spend like time with them.
Yeah. It's sad to see him go, but it then opens the door for young drivers. So if it all said and done, I mean, the sad thing is I'm having to say goodbye to 2 drivers after this year. My boy, who I've stood with since last season, who I actually think is so underrated, but he's out. I think Giovinazzi's gone. I'm so sad.
You think he's gone?
Giovinazzi's gone. It's Nick de Vries is coming in with Bottas. It's a done deal.
Nick de Vries?
Yeah, he's coming.
What?
Nick de Vries is coming either to Alfa Romeo or Williams.
No,
but then they got to feel like I thought it would be like Callum Islet because he's part of the Ferrari.
He's just confirmed that he's doing something else, isn't he?
He's doing.
He's doing the next Indy race, but then you might do it next year. But like they have so many drivers in that, because if Giovinazzi goes, then they can put another Ferrari driver academy kid in that seat.
Yeah,
so,
he's not. I don't think he's done as well as last season, has he? Really, he's not particularly pulled any trees up.
Giovinazzi?
I don't know.
He's just the best driver. Why? He's the best driver. Oh no, it's just I hyped him up so much.
In all honesty, I think he ought to keep it, but
what can you expect for someone to do in an Alfa Romeo? I mean, it's a lovely looking car, but it's slow.
Yeah. I think over the course of this season, it really, like, performance-wise, has dropped off. Like, when you see sort of like how much Russell and in the last couple of like races / qualifying, like that Latifi has even been able to get out of it.
Yeah,
it's sort of become. Somehow the Alfa Romeo has become more Q1 fodder than the Williams, which is weird.
It's kind of swapped positions, hasn't it, really? I mean, even then, the Alfa Romeo...
it has in the constructors.
Yeah, and Alfa Romeo were never really Q3 contenders as such. So it just goes to show how good George is doing. And Latifi. And I think I'm going to put some respect on Latifi's name, because I don't think I do it enough. He's proved me wrong this season. I said he would be. I think I said he'd be out. I think
we both had him to go out.
We've up. I'm gonna have to go back to that video.
I can't wait for us to do a review of what our 2022 predicted lineups, because I think I've got
3 out of 20 right.
No, you've done better than me. I think I've more or less, the only ones that I've got right were already under contract at the start of the season.
I think I knew it was going to be bad when you said Lewis was going Red Bull. I was like, oh, we're clutching here.
I'm not even going to try and defend that. That was just awful.
So I think this has opened the door now for young drivers to go to Alfa Romeo. I think there's going to be I say a young driver, because other driver is going to go there. It's Bottas. Yeah, I hope it's Bottas because our Lord and Savior, Mr. Russell, has to be going to Mercedes.
The 2022 world champion.
If you want to start making them, he has to. I mean, and what else do you have to do? I mean, if Toto's like, yeah, but you haven't won a race, have you? What else have I got to do? There has to be. I mean, Amelia, if George Russell doesn't have a Mercedes seat, are you going to continue watching Formula One? Because I might not.
I'd be very inclined to not, because I'd just be very, very angry. But like, I don't think, like, he was like, I want to be up there with the others at the front. And if Merck's not, getting him there, he was like, I'm going to put my Williams up there so I can, prove to them that I can. So I don't think, apart from like winning a race and leading every lap, I don't think you do much more.
No.
That would be impossible.
Yeah.
And let's face it, he would have won in Bahrain last year if it wasn't for that puncture.
Yeah. And dodgy pits. I mean, two really bad pit stops.
He recovered from the dodgy pit stop.
How do you mix up tyres?
Especially for Mercedes, I'm like, you're a team that's not meant to mess up.
They've rarely. Yeah. I mean, the only other mistake I can think of from Bahrain is Hockenheim, where they had that. Yeah, let's dress up from the 50s, but then Hamilton had a 34-second pit stop or something, didn't he?
Yeah. I know, but that was more because he sent half the front wing off just before the pit lane.
I think apart from, Nick de Vries, I think is going. I've seen that circulating so much because he is an F2 champion
and a Formula E.
Yeah, I think. What else do you have to do to get into the door for Formula One?
So you think he's got? You think he's got GOC then?
Either Giovinazzi's, or I think he probably will take George's at Williams because he is a Mercedes Academy driver, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I reckon most likely Williams.
For that one, though. I've heard. Well, there's rumours that Red Bull want him back in Formula One at sort of any cost.
He can continue to make their coffees. That's what he's good at.
Is Alex?
Yeah, I'm not an Alex fan, to be honest.
Really?
You're an Alex fan?
He cracked. He done a Gasly. He's done a Gasly.
Well, see, you like Gasly, though.
Yeah, Gasly's
you like Giovinazzi and you don't like Alex Albon?
Gasly's a race winner.
Oh, no.
Gasly's
sums out for the nibbles today.
Giovinazzi is a GP3 winner as well.
How can you not like Alex Albon?
I think he's a good driver, but I don't think he deserves to come back into the sport when there's so many other better drivers. There's so many other better drivers. Where would you go?
Imagine being in Red Bull and being put into a Red Bull midway through your first season and trying to compete against Max Verstappen.
I would have turned it down.
No, you wouldn't.
I'd turn it down. I don't want to.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
the money alone.
You're doing unbelievable with Toro Rosso. You know the curse of the second driver syndrome at Red Bull.
No, but it wasn't as much of a thing back then, though, was it?
2018 Daniel Ricciardo, I love him, but 2018 Daniel. Then you had Kvyat, Daniel, kind of Daniel. Daniel beat Max in his first 2 years. I forget that. Daniel actually, out of his 3 years with Max, he beat him twice. I think Albon will at some point probably make a return, but I think it will just be a repeat and it will just be middle of the pack.
Yeah, but that's not taking into account, though, that he would have got 2 podiums if it wasn't for Hamilton spinning him out twice in the space of a few months.
But then you take those 2 races away, though. But he was slow. He was slow.
Yeah, but if you look at the gaps to Max, when you're comparing Gasly, Albon, Perez, there's not actually a huge difference between the 3 of them. But Perez is putting the performances out on like week in, week out, and he's getting closer to it. But I don't think you can expect a young driver to come into the seat in it halfway through his first season and be as good as Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen's like...
I'm not saying be as good as Max Verstappen, but just get the P5s, get the P4s, not DNFs and P9s. And
yeah, but can you expect that for someone so young?
He was doing better in a Toro Rosso. He was doing really well in a Toro Rosso.
Yeah, because there's not as much pressure.
Hey, if you can't handle the pressure, get out the car. I don't know. I was trying to think of a saying there. He will return, but he's not going to come back into the sport straight. Like, where do you want him to go?
Williams.
He's I give it to Albon. He's better than Williams. I'll say this: when Yuki Tsunoda probably does get axed from from AlphaTauri, I reckon Albon will probably get back into the AlphaTauri seat.
Do you reckon Yuki's going to get a second season? Because he's crashed so many times in qualifying. He's just not.
I think I think he'll get a second season, but
I think the problem
maybe he won't get a third.
The problem you've got there is that Honda's input probably won't hold as much weight next season. Yeah,
there's
that's
no
what
Honda.
I'm saying.
No Honda.
Yeah, so their input won't hold as much weight. So maybe that does mean that he goes, but I don't know.
I'm sorry if I upset you guys' feelings about Alex Albon. I like Joe.
Yeah, but they've also
I like Giovinazzi for some reason. I'm sorry.
No, this is good. This is the difference in opinions that we wanted instead of just.
This is a podcast. This is a podcast right here.
It's good. We all like the same drivers up until the point you started hating on Alex Albon.
Who would you ideally, Melia? Who would you ideally want then at Alpha, and who would you ideally want at Williams?
I don't know, because
I could do one of them.
I like so many of
Giovinazzi, obviously, for Alfa Romeo.
Huh?
Giovinazzi will be taking your first seat at Alfa Romeo. I'm confident in that. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well, obviously Bottas to Alfa Romeo. Yeah, I think it just makes more sense than Williams, because he can kind of build Alfa Romeo up more. I want to say Callum Eilert to Alfa Romeo. I really want him to be in F1. You know, he's part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. I think he deserves a chance, instead of just kind of being left out there to be a test and reserve driver. And with Williams, I reckon I want Latifi to stay. I think also because he brings money in, but he's not horrific. I can see him kind of stepping up, because obviously at the moment George is obviously the strongest driver and very much a leader of the team. And then I don't know, tossing up between Alex Albon and Nick de Vries for the Williams team, but probably Nick, because he won Formula 2. He's the current Formula E world champion, and I don't think he can do much more to prove that he deserves to be in Formula 1. So that's my pick.
What's Alex Albon done? Got 1 podium and 2 flat tyres, thanks to Lewis Hamilton. Right. Who is... I was going to ask this question seriously, but I mean, I don't think we can answer it. Who's your driver of the day?
I suppose you've got to go on qualifying, haven't you? And
could go to a race.
You can really argue. it was all behind the safety car.
The safety car's the driver of the day. I think, yeah, go off qualifying. Who would your driver of the day be?
It's so heartbreaking because I'm confident that Lando would have put it on pole if he hadn't have crashed.
Yeah.
And so in that case, it probably would have been Lando because he was having such an incredible day. But it's got to be Russell, hasn't it? Putting a Williams P2 under any circumstances. Well, not our Williams, but that Williams.
Yeah.
Putting. Oh no! Oh.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I hate living in Australia with this bad internet.
Could be worse. You could live in Chesterfield. Jacob, you were saying. I'm sorry.
I have no idea what that is.
That's where I've
It's the shithole I live in.
Yeah, I've just offended our northern viewers, all two of them. Right. George Russell, your driver of the day?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Brilliant.
I don't think he really could go anywhere else.
I think I know the answer to this one, but Melia, who is your driver of the day?
I reckon Mazepin, the fastest lap. It's really got me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, obviously it's George.
I wish they'd done that vote for the driver of the day thing. They didn't do it. I would have sent so many Mazepin things, but they decided to skip it. Is Mazepin your driver of the day? What was that?
Oh, no, it's definitely George Russell.
Oh, okay. George, I think I want to. No, I can't because it's just so. I'm so biased towards this man, but this is where he should be. It's either
you can't give it Daniel.
It's either George Russell or Daniel. But
you can't give it Daniel.
No,
you can't give it Daniel. This is where he should have been all season.
This is my podcast. I can do what I want. That video, that TikTok I sent you of Daniel with his head down, was it after Hungary?
After Hungary, yeah.
This weekend, I was so red. When I saw his name shoot up the leaderboard, I was like, Daniel. To myself, I was like, Danny is sending one on the inside of Lewis into turn one. He's going to catch him. He's going to get the run up into Eau Rouge. He's going to catch George, and it's going to be Daniel Ricciardo gunning for Max Verstappen. That's what we were going to get. I knew it was going to happen, but no. Michael Massey, the boner, fucking swore. I never swear.
It's
so annoying.
It's so.
I need to bleep
it's so
that out.
frustrating. It's so frustrating
what did you call him?
I called him a boner. Came into my head. I don't know.
Is that even a word?
You boner.
Yeah.
Michael
quit.
No, sorry, continue. I'm so passionate. Daniel Ricciardo is my driver of the day. That's final.
Why?
Hey, George Russell next year is going to be my driver of the day probably 15 times when he's winning races in a Mercedes. Let me just have my moment with Danny.
I just think it's so frustrating that we lost this race because that qualifying was so promising to be the best race of the season. I was confident from that qualifying that Daniel Ricciardo was going to get a podium. We could see George Russell fight for a podium, and even though George got the podium, it just feels a little bit hollow.
Yeah, it's a podium, but he got a podium. Though if that gets him his Mercedes seat, then yes, it was a podium.
I think he got it a while ago.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say, or are we all happy?
We've got this close title race that we were asking for. 3 points now, isn't it?
Is it 3 or 2.5, or is it 3?
It's something. I don't know.
It's a small gap now.
It's not a lot. I feel like that's probably why Hamilton's not so happy. But
and Mercedes is still leading constructors, which is probably the the other kind of positive they can take. But I think that gap got.
Do you think they still win constructors? We both had them down to win the constructors. Do you think they still manage it?
I still want to say yes, because some part of me, I mean, no, maybe actually now that I'm thinking about it, because if that changed, because if Bottas knows he's out of the seat, I think knows he's got the security blanket of, oh, I'm definitely going to Alfa Romeo next season. I've got a seat. Will he just give up on this season, do you reckon? Because Perez still, even though he's guaranteed for next season, I think Perez is more likely to win a race than Bottas. I think.
Well, he already has.
On any races this year.
Yeah. I think Perez is more likely to deliver on a Sunday and Saturday than Bottas at the moment.
I'd like to think that Bottas is more professional than just giving up because he knows he's lost the seat. I think the only thing they've got to worry about there is he going to let Lewis through when they ask him to, if that's the case.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I fancy Red Bull to take the constructors now, regardless of who wins the drivers. I think the drivers could go either way, but I feel like the constructors. I personally, I'd put Red Bull favourites because Bottas just doesn't seem at it for me.
Well, Williams are making a title charge.
they could finish above Aston Martin if they carry on like this.
What?
I mean, George is only 5 points behind Stroll.
What's George in the Drivers' Championship? What's his place?
Let's have a look. He's only 1 place behind Stroll. I know that much because I've been taking the piss out of my brother for a bit.
George is on 13 points.
He's in 15th.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, 5 behind Sir Lancelot and 5 behind Sonoda.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask for a prediction for what could be, I reckon, this weekend. I'm actually looking forward to it, even though I'm more Lewis. This is actually going to be ridiculous in...
the atmosphere is going to be insane.
It's going to be so good.
Lewis, though, again.
It's going to be... I don't know. He's going to get booed everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Funny, though. Right. Prediction. I'm going to go. Well, actually, no. Just aside, Amelia, could you just say Danny Rick's going to win the race so we can get P4 quali again? Because I think you might actually the Australian connection. I think we're manifesting a weekend for Daniel. Let's put our thoughts into the universe. I think Daniel. No, I'm not going to say it because he DNF'd last time. No, he didn't DNF. He came 13th. So I'm not going to say anything. I think Max is going to win it though.
Yeah.
Daniel podium or winning. And
no one said to say that, so that's brilliant.
I have no clue what it's going to be like because obviously, like Zandvoort, they haven't been there for like how many years?
I think the 90s.
Yeah, so like we don't know who's going to the track. Yeah, it looks difficult to overtake on. So
it's very. I think it's kind of got a hungry feel to it. I think there's 2 DRS zones that I think the main straight is kind of, that's probably where the overtaking is going to happen. So it could be one of those where the Saturday might be more important than the Sunday. I think, Max to win it. I'm going to go with a George Russell and Latifi Q3.
Jeez.
Podium.
Latifi P3, George. No, I think they're both going to get into Q3. Jacob to take it home.
My bold prediction is we'll get a race this weekend.
There is rain forecasted, by the way.
No, no.
There is rain forecasted for Sunday.
Do you know what? I'm in a Kimi mood. We've had some Kimi news. I'm going to say Raikkonen to score points.
I thought you said Kimi nudes.
Kimi to release some nudes along with his retirement.
These are my pictures. Okay, Kimi. I like that. Go on, yeah. I'm sad to see him go, but go on. Let's have two Alfa Romeos in Q3 as well while we're at it. Let's have Giovinazzi in Q3. I'm sorry I like Giovinazzi. I'm so sorry, guys, but we probably won't see him.
It's not the fact you like Giovinazzi, it's the fact that you like him and not Albon.
I don't mind Albon. I just don't. I think he's a bit average. I'm sorry.
What?
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Like, what content do you get from him? Like, is it the Jesus hair? Like, what?
Oh, it's luscious. It's just brilliant. It's
the hair.
I think he is underrated. I think people don't know how quick he actually can be, and he's being held back by an Alfa Romeo, where Albon had a Red Bull and was slow. You couldn't ask for a better. I mean, maybe a Mercedes, but you have a Red Bull, you should be up there. I mean, him and Max have the same car. It's just it comes down to the drivers. I mean, Giovinazzi's. I mean, I think they're both on the same amount of points, but to be fair to Giovinazzi, he's out qualifying his veteran teammate most weeks. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll leave it there. Right. We are in Zandvoort, I want to say. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
You're saying it like that to Monaco.
It's just Zandvoort, isn't it?
We're in Zandvoort. I'm editing that out. We're in Zandvoort this weekend. It's the second race of the triple header. Fun fact, we've got 10 races in 16 weeks. That's lovely. That's so nice. Yeah, we've got 10 races in 16 weeks. I can't wait for the rest of the season. And I can't wait. Friday, I'm not excited for. I can't wait for Saturday, and I cannot wait for Sunday. But this has been the Pitlane Formula One podcast. Thank you to all 10 of you that watch it. Also, on a side note, Melia, last week's appearance for Hungary, you made us the most watched episode with 40 views. So thank you so much for that.
Let's hope we'll keep you around there.
let's hope we can break 50.
My dad watched it, so maybe he told his friends.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia's dad.
Thank you. Right, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.